please be with us in our thoughts and our words, and that we bring glory to you and the betterment of the district. And in Jesus' name we pray, amen.
Amen.
If you'll turn to the American flag and join me.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And the Texas flag to your right.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you. All right. And first thing we got to do is we got some students who would like to come address the board. You can pull that little lectern around if you want to, or you can just stand in front of the group, or you can do this however you want to.
Okay.
But we're over here. If you're going to address the board, this is...
Alrighty. So we're just going to talk about what we've done in the past month, past few months. It was coming up next month. In May.
Who are you?
Oh, I'm Skylar Stafford. I'm the reporter.
Oh, okay, just checking. Thanks very much. She has to write this stuff down, she needs to know. All right, go ahead.
In May, we had our banquet, and we handed out a whole bunch of awards to incoming or freshmen this year, all the way up to our seniors who graduated. They were giving several scholarships out. We also had the Forward Leadership Scholar interviews, the 24th and 25th. Brady Barrow, who's our president this year, was competing for one of the 10 scholar spots, and they get a $1,000 scholarship if they get one of the spots, and he was selected and is currently traveling and undergoing the board training for that. Okay, for this month, we are doing our state leadership conference. That will be July 9th. Anyway, next month. And we will be training our officers with learning how to do different things. And tomorrow we're going to a district training. That's going to be super fun. We're doing workshops and learning how to facilitate learning experiences. Next month, we're going to state convention. This is where you put that, which is the 9th and the 13th. We have our 4 students receiving a state Lone Star degree, which is their 3rd year in FFA. This is the highest degree of the state FFA association can award. FFA members may apply to receive this award, and that's go all the way up from our county, the district, the area, all the way to state.
It's really, really hard to apply for also.
A lot of paperwork involved.
Yes. I went through it about a month ago and it's so hard.
I remember they were constantly working on that, like 2 weeks before it was due, it was like.
So all 3 of them, their books have been certified?
Yes.
Okay, good deal.
And those who are wishing to get the Lone Star degree must have been an active FFA member for 2 years. And we participating in club events, county events, all the way up to our state. They also had to participate in a supervised agriculture experience, which is like, it could be Ag Mech, or you're showing a livestock project, or any of the opportunities available in FFA. And the active membership is awarded at the state level during the Texas FFA convention, which is the 9th and 13th. Taylor Cundiff, Harley Hammer, Amy Henry, and Brady Barrow will receive this honor there.
Very good.
Thank you for letting us speak.
Thank you,
You did a
ladies.
very good job.
Thank you for being here and informing us.
You want to stick around? Because it gets boring after this. I don't have anybody else that wants to talk, so is that it? We'll move on to our information items, softball field update.
Okay, updates. We have the reports in from the geotech people. The drawings are completed from the architect. The survey is completed as of last Thursday, but there's a few more things that they want on the survey that they're going to walk over it tomorrow. So We will see bids starting to go out in 2 weeks regarding that softball field, as far as looking at contractors that are interested in starting the project. So met with the water company today. Remember, we talked about the water line over there, and so that's what we were discussing, and we'll be able to make some changes there. We will not we will not do that prior to, which is one thing that we were all wondering. So in looking at it and going over where the lines are currently and where they're going to go, we'll be able to do that after the process. So that will be good. That will help us out. So, yeah, we should start, we will see bids going out in a couple of weeks, and then we're ready to roll on that. So, hopefully that's gonna, once we bring all that to you, it's gonna be competitive seal bids, and, to get
Bid
this, competitive seal bids.
Why are we doing that over RFQ or RFPs?
Over what?
An RFP or an RFQ?
Well, you asked for that, you asked for the RFQ, and you get the information in competitive sealed bids.
Okay.
That's how you get it in.
We get to look at the
best
architectural
price.
drawings prior to it going out?
Mhm.
Okay.
Now, I have some drawings, I'd be glad for y'all to look at and everything. Anyway, so that's where we are on that. You know, not where I want to be, but that's where we are right now on it. You always want to push faster and faster, but it's...
Well, based on the time schedule, was the expectation of us having it done before season starts? And
Yes.
we're still good?
Yes. And then, as I told you before, they will, when the RFQs or RFPs, whatever, are asked for, then it's going to be one natural turf and an alternative is going to be the artificial turf, so y'all can look at those differences and make a decision, so that will be good. Okay, any other questions on that at this point? Then the next thing is just an update on the security updates that we talked about. We went back to both of the companies that had given us information, and we asked for a little bit more because we felt like if we were going to do this, we needed to make sure that we expanded the security of the buildings all the way around, not some of the doors and that kind of thing. So we asked for more information from them, and we got that from both of the companies. I will be sending, in fact, we got the one from Electrolink, we received it today, this afternoon, about 2 o'clock. So I will be sending this to you, and both of these proposals for you to look at. And at our next board meeting, which is July 9, we'd like to go ahead and be ready to take action on that. And both of these companies are prepared to be able to complete the work this summer, which is a good thing.
We can go on July 9th,
Mhm.
and that gives them
The time to...
a month and a half about to get the work done. They're good with that?
So the numbers that you'll, I don't know if you remember, after looking at the first proposal or the first quotes that they gave, there was some areas that, were not covered extensively enough as far as what we thought. You will still have that information to look at, but you'll also have the new information that adds on to those two projects to look at. And I think, you will make the decision, but I think you'll see that the second set that plans that we have is going to be a lot better for our district as far as the safety issues that we need to address at the school. And, it's one of those things to where safety in school districts it's a big thing right now. So we need to make sure that we address those. As with anything else, anytime you do more, it costs more too. So that's something for y'all to consider when you're looking at this. But I'll give you plenty of time to look over this and ask questions, and we'll have this on the agenda for our next meeting. So, any other questions regarding that? And again, what you'll have to look at on that is all of the door closures and card reader doors, and also cameras that we're looking at upgrading. Okay, then we can go on to accounts payable. There's no questions there, then we can.
Dr. Moore, have
Okay.
a question?
I do have one question, and I think I know the answer, but I wanted to ask Mr. Yandell, the check to Bar G Inc. For the elementary demolition, $8,250, is that the final payment?
There's one more left.
This is all
Same
still,
amount.
is it still part of the original contract?
Yes.
There weren't any add-ons or?
No, sir. It's part of the original one. We're not going to pay them the final $8,250 until 1 year after the project was completed.
A year?
That's the retainage.
That's a normal
Yeah.
construction.
That's the retainage, and the purpose is they need to have grass growing out there.
That's still the problem until we have grass.
It is.
But what happens if there's a softball?
Well, you don't want to
have
wash it.
That's still your problem.
So that's just to ensure that we don't have drainage problems and some water.
So have we got the old well figured out? We got, that's taken care of now? Okay.
All that was plugged and taken care of.
Good deal.
Yes, yes.
All right, so accounts payable, we're all good besides that. So we'll move on to 5 consent items. And if there's anything that y'all want pulled out, we can approve those as a group. Be all good? Would that be a motion? We got a motion from Danny,
Well-
second, oh,
I'm not sure if this falls into it. The comparison of revenue to budget, is that part of this, or is that another item later?
I don't know what you're looking at to answer that
Yeah.
question.
Yeah, that's
That's the
right.
usual reports that are always behind the check register.
Can I ask a question?
Sure. Can I get a second first and then we can discuss?
I'll second.
Get a second, now we can discuss.
Well, I was going to start with a compliment, I thought, on the comparison of revenue to budget as of May. This is page 1 of 14, PDF page 23. The first line says revenue and percent realized was 98.56, and I'm going, way to go, Kevin. That's a pretty good collection. But then in a report later, you said, comparison to last year was like 96. Is that because we actually don't ever anticipate collecting 100%?
That's correct.
Okay, that explains it, thank you.
Yeah, God forbid we actually collected 100%.
And then one more in that same report, PDF 31 of 80, page 9 of 14, under Region 7 Technology Consortium, receipts were budgeted at $53,000, we've gotten 0. Are we still going to get that, or are they kind of balking on something?
It's Fund 498. That is a fund that we've had the money sitting in our bank account for, since before I came here in 2012. And our auditors very nicely slapped us on the hand this last year and requested that we make an effort to spend it this year. And we budgeted the expenditures, and I just have not at this point made the journal entry.
Okay,
to
gotcha.
take
Is this
it.
money that came from the water deal from 10 years ago? That's,
This is part of the technology
Yeah.
consortium we had with Region 7.
That was from the water deal.
Okay.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. This predates most everybody in here, but maybe me, Paul, and Stacy, but
Okay, well, thank you for that explanation. I'm sorry I didn't ask those questions prior, but I didn't get a chance to.
Okay.
you're good. So we got a motion in a second, Danny and Paul. Any more discussion? All in favor? Unanimous. All right, next item on the agenda. I scrolled all over here, so I don't know what's next. I think it's number 6.
Yeah, it's a discussion item.
Discuss that.
6A, rollover impact of tax base. Kevin, would you go ahead and take that for us?
Sure will. The school's first ratings that normally come out in the fall, we've already been alerted that they're revamping the ratings for the 2019-2020 ratings, which will be based on 2018-19 school year. And one of the criteria is that at some point during the budgeting process, we have to go over with the board, make sure that y'all are aware, and as best we can, help you to understand the impact of changes in the CPTV value, the property tax value, as it relates to our state revenue each year, and what a change from year to year in that, what impact it has on our state revenue. So I don't yet know how they're going to police it or how they're going to determine that we've done it or not. So that's why I went ahead and put it as a discussion item. So if they come and pull up our agendas from the website, they can see that we did actually discuss it at this meeting. I did a spreadsheet that's in your packet to just kind of give you an idea. They use the property value from the prior year to determine how much of what they call Tier 1 revenue that's based on our attendance, how much of that total revenue that we earn that our district is going to be held responsible for paying. And they base that on the prior year's taxable value. So if our tax value goes up from one year to the next, that means they're going to require more money, more district money to fund the Tier 1 than they did the year before. As an example, if you see at the top of the spreadsheet that I did, the property value in 2016-17 was actually, the 15-16 value was $417 million. It jumped from that to $442 million the next year, and as a result, it's about $250 million change, or $25 million change. And as a result, the state said that Sabina ISD is thus responsible for $250,000 more of the Tier 1 revenue. And so they reduced our Tier 1 revenue in 17-18 by $250,000 compared to what they did in 16-17. If you look one column over further, the value went from $442,000 down to $426,000, as we're aware from last year, that nice surprise we got during the summer. But as a result, instead of requiring us to pay $4,420,000 for 18-19, they're only requiring us to pay $4,263,000. So their change of $15 million is going to allow us $156,600 more in revenue for 18-19 than we had.
I just like to have an understanding synopsis. Basically, they are holding us accountable for a dollar amount based on to that dollar amount.
It's basically a dollar per $100.
Dollar per $100.
Several years ago, it used to be 86 cents, but then they increased it from 86 cents to $1.
But that's still money that has to be collected from our local tax base.
That's basically what it means.
They're saying, we're not gonna give it to you, figure it out someplace else.
What it means is basically in year one, you had a high tax base that you collected the tax revenue. Year two, we're using that high tax base to reduce what we're going to give you state money. So they flow, it's an inverse relationship from year to year.
In your mind.
Yeah.
If your
They work on
CPTV
it.
value goes up, your state revenue goes down.
What is CPTD?
It's the Comptroller's Property Tax Division from the state of Texas. It's, they take our taxable value that the appraisal district gives them, and they make certain adjustments to it that we have over which.
They massage it a little bit and
They
pull the
massage
number out of
it,
that and call it
massage
good.
it and do things that we're not allowed, we have no control over. And then they put the preliminary numbers out there for.
But that's the number that they use to determine how much they're gonna fund us.
Correct.
Okay.
And so.
But this is all somehow tied to the first training now.
Yeah, it will be in 2019-20.
Next year.
Which will be based on the 18-19 school year. So that's why I wanted to go over this with you. We've talked about it briefly from time to time, but it's never really been an official discussion or
Right.
action. on it.
It's on the agenda, so it counts.
Well,
That's what I'm
yeah.
hoping.
Yeah.
We had
You know, at this point, we've not been given any guidance, but I wanted to go ahead and get it.
No reason to set the rules, you know.
So don't feel silly or think we're silly for discussing this when most of you know this already. You know, they work a year behind and your revenue is based on tax or values a year behind and that kind of thing. Y'all already know that, but we have to present that to you in a nutshell. So.
Very good, Kevin.
That's the extent of what I was going to present. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer.
You check the box now.
Board training credit?
I'm sure, somewhere.
Yeah.
5 minutes.
If you
5 minutes,
can
yeah.
reiterate what he just said, you get extra bonus.
We're here behind.
Yeah.
Okay, next item on the agenda for discussion is simply the swimming pool repairs that I just want to keep all of you updated on because every year we go through some repairs, of course, but as that thing gets older, the upkeep costs increase, so I just want to keep you aware of it. So if you look at this that I've handed out, this is some of the information from opening up the swimming pool this year. It did require a new pump because that pump was completely worn out. There sits the old pump right there. I brought these items brought in here for you to look at. So you can tell what kind of shape the pool is in down there as far as, I don't know when that thing was built. Maybe,
52.
Mid-50s, early 50s. Who said something? 52, did you find out?
Oh my gosh.
I'll give a brief history. The county built it
Yeah,
and decided it was a very expensive item.
Yeah.
People of Sabine did not want to see it go away, so they gave it to the school.
Yeah, if y'all want it, you pay for it.
Because it's a political nightmare for
Who
them.
had it
The
before?
county built it. The county built it and handed it off to the school because they figured out they were losing money on it, they didn't want to deal with it
Have
anymore.
mercy. And we don't have a city, so a city.
Right. But it has been discussed, I mean, ever since we were kids, every couple of years, it's too expensive, we can't afford it. And there's literally political sign, like school board, keep the pools open, vote for Tony crap. I mean, it's been that big of a deal over the 50 years it's been around.
well,
But
Does it really get used a lot?
not a lot, just for the people that don't have pools at their house. That's the
You know,
problem, is that we don't.
I've been by it a few times already this summer when it's been open.
There's not enough
There's
kids.
very rare, there's very many, not very many people there.
Yeah, there's not enough kids to offset the cost of the labor of having the guards there.
Well, and also you got.
And then you gotta have chemicals, and then you
Somebody
spend
just sit there all day.
$10,000 or $8,000 on plumbing and $7,000 on a pump. We're $15,000 in to open the door.
we addressed this a few years ago, you know, talking about the expense of all, and at that time, of course, everybody wanted to keep it open, which is fine. I just want to bring these expenses to you to let you know where we stand this year. I think that pool serves a great purpose for a lot of little kids trying to get swimming lessons and things like that. But, you know, you as a board are gonna have to decide, okay, are we gonna continue to go in the hole this much on the pool every year? Or are there other options, or what can we do, kind of thing?
I would like for me, I would like for us to explore building a new one. I mean, so we've already spent this 16,000, is that correct?
That's already been spent and it's not open yet.
We still have a pool, it's still empty.
So we
down
still
there.
got repairs to do to it before we can open it.
Okay, here's the deal. Yes, but the pipe that goes around the pool with the water, you can see what has been taken out of there right now. That pipe actually goes all the way around the pool, okay? So about 4 years ago, we had a leak in that pipe on the northeast side of the pool. We repaired that. And then
That pipe came out, looked like somebody hit with a shotgun. There was like holes. Only pipe this long, got like 12 holes.
you repair a section of it, you know, and then, 1 year we repaired the north end of it, the pipe underneath there. And this year, the pump went out, and, when you look at the blades and all, there wasn't a whole lot of pressure being thrown through those pipes by that old pump. And then when you get a new pump and put on there, the pressure is like it's supposed to be. Well, there's so much pressure that it's gonna, in a pipe this old, it's gonna cause some other issues. So we had a huge leak on the south end of that thing and had to cut the cement out and those kinds of things. And, in fact, had to drain the pool again to cut a hole in the pool to put another pipe in there for the return water because it was leaking so bad. So right now, the expenses are up to almost $17,000. And and that is hopefully at the end of this week, we're gonna be able to put water in the pool again to see if it's gonna work. And at that point, it may work, it may get us through the summer, or we may have other issues with the rest of the pipe. So we have some people coming in Wednesday of this week that's supposed to come in and give us a price on the entire thing if we want to fix all of that at one time, or what other options you
When
look at.
when you say all of that, are you only including eliminating 50 or 80-year-old pipe? And is there any other fix besides that, or just fixing pipe?
Well, then you still have the old pump house out there. that
Oh,
has-
there's lots of other issues.
Major stuff in it. You know, the little kiddie pool right now, like we talked about.
Can't fill the kiddie pool, it leaks.
You know, that kind of thing.
I told Laura, I said, go buy a kiddie pool at the dollar store, stick it in there and just dump it every day.
So, you know, look, like Paul's suggestion, that's an option. Another option is to see what this company would charge to fix it, but, you know, they're not gonna, you know, they can't fix everything, you know. But anyway, those are options to look at.
Well, even where the skimmer is around, there's so much tile missing that it's, at some level, it's a safety hazard. I know, I mean, I was a lifeguard, I know, but it's just, there's so many things that if I mean, you have one extreme of start over to the other extreme of turn it off, and there's somewhere in between.
Yeah.
But I know, I mean, replacing it's gonna be up $10,000. But I don't want to go away either.
So we've already spent this year almost 17,000.
Correct.
This
We'll never
year-
recover that. We can't.
Well, no, of course we won't, but we ought to go ahead and wait, in my opinion, and see what this other company says, since we've already spent this. If we hadn't spent it, I'd say, well,
That's
let's.
where I'm
Yeah, I know.
at. I wish we'd had spent the 17 also.
Well, you know, the last meeting we had about the pool, everybody wanted to keep it. So
Yeah,
you don't know
yeah,
what's gonna happen when you fill that thing up and turn it on, until you turn it on.
That's right.
you
right.
know. And then, there you go.
So we'll be meeting again in 2 weeks, essentially, isn't that right? And we should know something then.
We'll have more information back when this guy comes out and does an evaluation of what it costs to replace pipes.
And-
But it's
But I
still
don't think he
just
should
pipes.
just give us a price on replacing the pipes. I think he needs to give us a price on bringing everything up to where it needs to be.
You wanna
Yeah.
refurbish.
Well, because we're just putting Band-Aids.
Oh, I know, it's gonna do it for 10 years,
Right. When if
15, 20
we
year Band-Aids.
had, you got a brand new pool, you would not be spending any of this money. And in 5 or 6 years, what it costs to keep doing this,
Yeah.
you'd have a brand new pool.
And that's the thing, all the options that, like you just talked about, Paul, yeah, he can do that. I mean,
He can,
They
they
can
work
do
something.
And I don't know that where the pool is right now, we might not be better served, long range planning for it to be moved to another location. I don't know if we wouldn't be better served for parking for baseball and tennis, all of those things, to move it to another location.
gives you something to chew on, but.
Yeah, something we thought about.
If you're gonna start from scratch, you can start from scratch.
Paul, can you repeat what you at first recommended, because I didn't catch?
I think we should just look at what it would cost to build us a new pool.
Oh,
They just saying, what it would cost to start from scratch?
I mean,
We dig a new hole and start over.
I'm thinking for around $100,000, you could do that, right? Where you just spent $20,000 in 1 year just doing repairs.
And we still got 75-year-old pipes down there. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
so since this is just more or less a discussion item and we're not deciding anything, I'll go ahead and be the devil's advocate and argue that I think it's not a function of the school to provide a swimming pool for our community.
We
It's a
teach
great
It's an
service.
education process.
In the past, we've been able to afford it, but
No.
this is just a Band-Aid on top of a Band-Aid, and I agree with you. We would spend $100,000 in the next 10 years. I don't think we should spend $100,000.
Right.
So therefore, in my mind, the only option is put a little memorial plaque on it and plant some flowers. But that's just my opinion.
Well, you
I don't
probably ought to
think
look
that-
into it more, see how many kids that got taught swimming lessons last year. We had people that funded.
We had 17 signed up for this week.
Yeah. So you teach a kid to swim down in that pool, that lasts him a lifetime.
Plus, this is
You have no
education.
idea how many lives have been saved because that swimming pool sat right there in Savannah. You have a swimming pool at your house, it's different. There's kids out here
Oh, I know.
that is their only opportunity
A lot
to
of
swim
a lot
and
of
learn to swim. And so, to be honest with you, I am one of those kids. If I hadn't been with that swimming pool, I would have never had formal swimming training.
We don't have a swim team.
Pool's not big enough for swimming.
I'm listening, Bob.
I mean, I'm just saying.
I'll wait till they finish and then I'll talk.
That'd be different.
He proposed a swim team, let's go ahead and build a real one.
No, I did.
Anyway, what I was saying was, there's a whole group of kids that would never learn to swim unless that pool was there. And so, it's a far stretch. I know the city of Kilgore's fighting the same thing right now. I think they're under some major repairs also.
They're down for the summer.
And
They
I
won't even-
promise you, the city of Kilgore does not want to pay to keep that pool open.
Oh, they decided several years ago to shut it down. They had such an uproar, they said, never mind, we'll spend the money and fix it. They were shutting it down 5 years or 4 years ago, whatever it was.
Overton had to shut theirs down.
And evidently, okay, I have a swim there. Right here.
Yeah, Kilgore was going to shut theirs down, and they had such a community outcry, they decided to start over.
And if we do have community members that want to or give money to teach kids to swim, we can use that money and still have kids sign up to be taught to swim in other venues. There's other places, Kilgore College offers it, and we could pay for kids to do that if we really want to offer that to our.
Well, for me as a child, I couldn't have rode my bicycle.
Right, we have kids showing up by college.
And I rode my bicycle.
I would
from
have to see
probably
the
4 miles.
list of who's signing up for swim lessons to make, before I could agree. I just think that this is starting to be a big money guzzler. And I know from owning my own pool, it continues to be a money guzzler. And that old pump out there lasted a long time, but your new one's not gonna last that long.
Just not made of the same steel.
They're just not made as good.
That cost me
And they're gonna start being digital technology, and technology doesn't last as long. It goes out quicker.
Should have had them rebuilt the pump.
Build that,
That's a totally
but
different.
maybe our welding department can look at it.
The used process pump.
I didn't give you the one out of that yard.
So you said you wanted direction, so we're at this point. we're
Well,
just getting quotes.
then to me, what I'm hearing is,
Either way.
I will get information this week from the expense of looking at repairing that pool correctly, seeing, getting an estimate on what a new one would cost, that, similar to that size, and get information regarding number of swimmers and swim lessons that have signed up this year and what we did last year, the numbers that we had last year. And, you know, I've given reports before about how much money in the hole we go every year on the pool. And that's okay. I just want y'all to know that and make decisions for that. So I can bring that information at our next board meeting, and that will help you make a better decision, informed decision on what we need to do. And if you think of anything else, let me know as far as any other information, but we can do that. And you know, Paul, like you're saying, another location, yeah, that's something needs, you know. that's
Well, I mean, I just think it needs to be thought about.
Yeah, because you're right, that's a good spot for more parking that's needed, but, you know.
For
just-
baseball, I don't know, and I don't know what our long-range plans are,
Well, that wasn't in our long-range plans for swimming pool, you know, and that's something we need to look at then. Because in our long-range plans, we have all the other items listed there, but we haven't listed
it might be
mines.
better suited for it to be sitting. You know.
Okay, any other information?
Now, in the meantime, do you have some level of expectation of that pool opening up this week?
My level of expectation is they will be here tomorrow to fix the problem that currently exists. It will take a little bit of sit time for it to cure.
They're pour concrete.
Yeah, for it to cure. And then when it cures, we'll have to fill it back up to that level to see how that's gonna work, make sure there's no leaks. And then we will have to fill it completely up to turn that pump on all the way to make sure
Mhm.
the water routing through the rest of the pipe is not gonna cause any issues. And so the hope is what they can do this week will fix it and keep
Get us
us
through the
going
summer
this summer,
anyway.
you know. And past this summer, that's all.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's yet to be determined. Why did the guy go home half day the other day?
Why do what?
The guy that was there doing the plumbing work, like he left at 2 in the afternoon.
I think the
We
situation
probably started at
was,
6.
I think the situation was they determined that to dig where they were gonna need to dig, they needed a track over or back.
Had to get more tools.
They needed more tools and they didn't want to rent, pay full day rent for a backhoe when they were only gonna be able to use it for a short time.
No, they didn't start at 6 in the morning.
Oh, no.
No.
They started late in the morning, and by 2 o'clock he was done. And it was a bright and shiny day, and then it rained for a couple of days, and he couldn't work because it was raining, but it was a sunny day, he didn't work, but, because he had to go get more equipment.
Well, one thing is, at first too, when they decided to, knew where the leak was, had to cut out the cement. Then the leak was kind of towards the wall of the pool underneath there, so it was kind of, at that point, it was too much of a risk to take digging that dirt out too close to the wall of the pool, thinking that might could collapse. So, in fact, they had swim lessons in there one day while that was going on, and it was fine, but it wasn't going to be possible after that, so.
Okay. Any more pool questions? All right, we'll move on to action item 7A. Possible action on employee salary increase for 18-19.
Okay, all of you had the budget information and to look at, and it actually, well, it certainly came out better than what we had anticipated. And we're certainly glad of that. We sent you this information earlier, but I wanted to hand it out again because I know you don't have it in hand, so I want you to have it.
We'll look it up one more time.
This is what was sent to you earlier in the week. And basically, it goes over revenues and expenditures. And looking at, the teachers are gonna get the step pay raise, and the other employees, what we've done, in the past is look conservatively at some pay increases, and we would go 2% from the midpoint, or 3% from the midpoint, or 4% from the midpoint, which is pretty much the norm. Our thinking in working the budget, I think it's going to be possible, absolutely, to be able to give some raises, especially again in the light of insurance premiums continuing to go up for everyone. But if you look at a 2% raise from the midpoint, it would cost about $49,000. A 3% would be less than $74,000, and then a 4% would be about $98,500. And in the budget information that's given, all of that is based upon a 3% increase in that information that you've already looked at and that's on this page right here. So.
Is that your recommendation, 3%?
So my recommendation is 3% from the midpoint for all the employees non-teaching.
Can I get a motion? Dan, get a motion, get a second. Patty, give a second. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor of 3% from the midpoint? Unanimous, easy. Next.
Okay. Next is looking at the employee insurance plan, the district needing to increase their contribution to that. Kevin, would you go ahead and take that for us?
Sure. The state met earlier this year, TRS board did, and already gave notice of what the premiums and the benefits are going to be for TRS Active Care for the 18-19 school year. And when they set the premium for the Plan 1HD, which is the lowest plan for employee only, then we have to take a look at how much we as a district contribute toward that premium because of the Affordable Care Act that was put into place several years ago. There's a calculation that we have to use our full-time employees with the lowest pay rate and put it through a calculator that they have, and that determines how much what the maximum amount is that the employee can pay toward the insurance. For 2017-18, our premium for that plan was $351, and the calculator for that, for what we paid last year, meant that the district was required to put in $230 a month toward the premium. When I put the numbers in the calculator this time, which is in the packet, based on the total $367 premium, when we were looking at the budget originally, and it wasn't as bright a picture as it turned out to be, we based it on a 2% raise. And when I put that number into the calculator, it said that we needed to contribute $244 a month toward the premium. When we changed and went to a 3% raise, it reduced that to where all we're really required to put into it is $242 a month. But we didn't realize there, when we began discussing that, when Mr. Bryce and I did, we're going from a $244 down to $242 is only costing the district for the general fund a little under $3,000, somewhere right around in there. So we thought for the employees, it would be better to leave it at $244 a month instead of taking it down to just what we're required to. Not all of our employees start out at what our oldest person is making right now. But my recommendation would be to increase Sabine's monthly contribution towards the TRS active care premiums to $244 a month.
Okay, based on his recommendation, can I get a motion? Dr. Morchak, can I get a second? Paul, any discussion? All in favor? Unanimous. All right, at this time, 7:19, we will adjourn to have a public hearing. You are the public, so stick around. Let's need your autograph. So who's going to lead this public hearing? Is that all you?
Kevin, you have all the information in front of you.
Okay.
Go for it.
For those of you in the audience, the stack on the back of the table over there has the proposed budget information there in it. The board members have it in their packet. I'm going to go over each fund individually. The only three funds as a district that were required for the board to approve are the general fund, the child nutrition fund, and the debt service fund. And so we do separate budgets on each of those three funds. We've got a comparison of what our proposed budget for this year is compared to what our original proposed budget for 17-18 was. And that's before we found the good news out that we were going to get $212,000 less in tax revenue last year. So that is the original budget that was approved last year. The total revenue for the general fund for 18-19 in the proposed budget is $11,314,837. The total appropriations or estimated expenditures is $11,435,921. The net of those two numbers means that our proposed budget for the general fund is a deficit of $121,084 compared to where we started out last year of a deficit of $279,426. So we're coming out with a much, I won't say rosier, but a much improved picture from what we had last year. The total revenue, estimated revenue only changed to $24,788, but if you look over in the change columns, our local revenue went down $300,000 from 17-18 to 18-19 because our tax revenue took another nosedive. But our state revenue increased $270,000. Part of that is the $156,000 that we talked about earlier. That's the roll forward effect because of the change in the property value. Then our federal revenue, which all we have in federal revenue is the SHARS revenue that we get for the special ed students. I budgeted $125,000 last year. We're already at $218,000 for 17-18. I don't know that we'll get that much in 18-19, so I'm only budgeting $180,000, but that's still $55,000 more than what we budgeted last year. The changes in the appropriations, a couple of the main things, we don't have at this point anything specific in the capital improvements, Function 81 budget. So there's not in last year at this point. We had roofing at the high school, and we're electing to postpone doing any high school roofing this year and do it at a later date. Function 93, the payments to the shared service arrangement members. The change that I believe has been discussed at the board last month, that the special needs classes at each of the three districts, instead of being part of the shared service arrangement, each district is going to be responsible for their own their own special needs class. So what we did pay into the SSA for our share of all three of them, we're now just paying for the employees that'll be over here in our high school special needs class and at our elementary special needs class. So that meant that we're not paying as much into the SSA, so that's why it went down $70,600. We just, within the last couple of weeks, got the amount of money from the federal government that the SSA will receive, and Ms. Thornton is still working through the budgeting process to present it to the SSA board for them to approve both the federal grant and the local share of the SSA. So I don't know for sure at this point what our share for next year is going to be, but I budgeted it right now, a total of $211,000. Are there any questions on the general fund at this point? Okay, the child.
Hold on, I got it.
Yes, sir.
I do, as I was looking at the budget, and again, budgets, particularly a year out, are guidelines. You know, there's no way you can really project what your actual expenses are, but you have to do it. That's part of the job. If I'm reading this correctly, last year's budget projected a deficit of $279,000, and this coming budget projects a deficit of $121,000. If all the numbers are accurate, that would come out of
Fund balance.
fund balance.
That's correct.
Okay.
We'll go over the, after we get through with the hearing, we'll come back and get you to actually approve this proposed budget. And right after that, we'll have the final budget amendment for this year, and I'll go into a little more detail about how I believe we're going to come out for 17-18, which is much better than what the original budget was.
In years past, Dr. Morchat, we would always still line up ahead. Last year was the year that didn't happen, so.
That's your risk.
Well, and another thing to remember is that was the past budget at that time, a deficit of $279,000. And then after that is when we took the hit on the property values at the tune of another $211,000 or so. So we were looking at a deficit of 400 and something thousand.
$491,000.
Yeah.
And I'm aware firsthand that, you know, when monies aren't materializing as we expected, I see you and the staff tighten the belt a little bit to try to make things even.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that effort. I'm just saying.
Sure.
Okay, the budget for the child nutrition fund is much simpler. We have total revenues for 2018-19 are projected to be $710,821. The appropriations, which for child nutrition are all within function 35 for child nutrition, are $709,473. We're projecting they'll have a surplus for this year of $1,348 compared to the budgeted deficit last year of just under $16,000. Our local revenue is going up as well as our federal revenue. When Ms. Caldwell and I looked at last year's budget versus what actually happened, and then we're projecting what's going to happen for this next year, knowing the changes that are going to be made, this is what we ended up with as a budget for this particular fund. The debt service fund basically has revenue of the tax revenue, a tiny bit of interest income revenue, and then the state gives us money through what's called the existing debt allotment that we get each year that's based on the state's total available money that they can put toward districts that have debt that was existent at the beginning of the year. last year, our total budgeted revenue was $1,234,000. This year it's down to $1,192,570. It's basically because our tax revenue is less, because our tax base is less this year than it was last year. The actual debt service that we pay, it changes from year to year. This year was only a change of $441 from what it was last year. So we're projecting a budget surplus for 2018-19, $138,548. Any questions on any of those?
You good?
That's the extent.
This is the public part, this is where you get to talk. Speak now, forever hold your peace. Nobody in the public has any comments? We will reconvene at 7:29. Start on our action items again. All right, delegate assembly.
Okay, each year, as you know, before we go to the conference in September, we need to appoint a delegate and an alternate to represent us in, the delegate assembly. So at this time, it's up to you guys to have nominations or vote or appoint, however you so see fit.
I'm willing and able, if somebody else wants to.
Who are the current delegates?
I've done the delegate every year except for one.
All the time. Rusty's all over now.
I think Dr. Morchat, I don't think Rusty's ever coming back to school.
So, I'm saying, I've been the delegate for going on 12 years, and I'm perfectly willing and able and don't mind at all. Even now, they are offering you a free, because every time you're a delegate, you miss out on 2 or 3 classes like that. You miss a huge period of time.
Sure.
So now they're giving a free online learning center course of your choosing. So as a delegate assembly, you can go online and get another credit hour, which is the first time ever, because I've missed every time. So anyway, I'm willing to do the delegate if y'all want to figure out who wants to be alternate.
Who wants to do it? I won't be there, so I can't. I've already done mine.
I think Tony wants to.
Well, no, I'm talking about the
I
alternates.
know. I'm just saying, I'm pretty sure Tony wants to. Dr. Morchat?
I'll do it.
Okay. As the alternate, you get to go to the luncheon where we discuss what's going to be discussed, and you can come into the room where it's discussed if you sit in the back. You don't get a voting, because we all get the little voting things. But you don't get a voting thing, but you get to sit in the back and pay attention. Or you can go play in the expo center, your option.
Or if you need to go to the bathroom, I know that I get to stay.
There you go.
Yeah. Look at the button, check.
Does he get free online training?
Doesn't get the free online training.
He doesn't, and also,
It's the allure there.
yeah.
Each district represented as a delegate will receive a special pass.
What happened, you got sick,
Oh,
you
that's
took
what
the
it is.
class.
I don't know exactly, it's not clear. We have an exciting giveaway to our attendees. Each district represented at the delegate
There
assembly
you go.
will receive a special pass for each of its trustees to complete an online learning center.
And I'm sure that online learning centers will be a joy.
Of course it is.
If you don't use your pass, I'll take it.
Yeah. So I don't know, maybe we all, that's what that says.
Kind of sound that way.
So, I'll look for that.
Do we need to officially vote, or is it just okay?
Yeah, we have to vote on delegate and alternate for the delegate assembly, so I need a motion.
I need a motion, I'm making a motion.
Paul, second. Patty, discussion. All in favor? Okay. Easy enough. This is back to you.
Okay.
Next. Meal price.
Next thing on our agenda is something that we cover annually, as you know. In your packet, I put the information in there provided by Ms. Caldwell. So what we've done in the past, as you know, we're informed by the state on what we need to do on our meal prices as far as what the target goal is. And really, there's not much of a choice on, as long as you're trying to reach it, you're gonna be in good standings. And we've done a very good job of trying to keep our meal prices low for our kids here, and we want to continue to do that. And if you noticed in your package, you had 3 options.
Will you
basically.
clarify something since we have people here with newspaper ability?
Yes.
We are not in compliant with the amount that we're supposed to charge. We are trying to get that way. We're not charging enough. Go ahead and.
Yeah, I won't say,
I know,
I
but
won't
explain
say
it right.
I'm not in compliance, but it's one of those things, and Sonny can talk about it more, but one of those things to where they want you to get to a certain point, but they don't want you to automatically just say, okay, we're going up $1 on all of our lunch prices. So you have, they want you to go to increase incrementally, and that's what we've been doing.
Yeah, the state says we have to do this. This is not just because we feel like it.
But we are in compliance, you're not.
Well,
Yes.
I know, that's what I'm saying. We are in compliance with the way the rules are written, but we're not at the level we're supposed to be either.
But
We're
we're,
just
Yeah, we're
getting
really
there
not
slowly.
close to their target, because even when we get close, which was
They
268,
move the target.
now the new target's 292. So, I mean, it's just, you're chasing after something that, you just do your mandatory.
Yeah, we do the mandatory increase, and they keep jacking up how much more we have to increase.
Right.
And this is Sonny Caldwell, our food service director, so I know, James, you know her, but I didn't know Brittany or not. Okay, so looking at the options there, to me, it would make a lot of sense to go up or increase the meal prices at each campus the same by a dime, just so that it's not going to be a big burden on any one particular campus, and also try to make it as easy on parents as we can.
All right, so that's your recommendation, down campus?
Yes.
Can get a motion? Paul, need a second? Patty, any discussion?
Sonny, is there anything else you need to bring
I
up?
just got a question, and I'm
Yes.
glad, because I actually agree that the 10% is the 10 cents is the fairest, but why did we even get proposals that, like, high school paid more?
Just so you can see the math.
So
Just
we
to give
can see
y'all
the
some
math, and we might
options.
want
Okay.
to choose something different.
Because
I thought there was
it's
some
based on
logic
a
to it,
weighted-
like-
It's
Well-
based on a weighted average, so you can increase one campus quite a bit more, and possibly maybe leave your elementary campus at a price. So
The
it's
elementary eats the most
different
lunches,
ways
obviously, they
to
have the
get
most
there.
kids.
Yeah,
So
but I
you-
also
so
thought
you
maybe,
increase.
is an elementary meal smaller and cost less? Or is it about the same cost to the district?
Compared to a high school, it's smaller.
Okay, so that might be part of the logic, but I still think 10 cents across the board is the fairest.
We've made a huge effort in the last several years to increase our high school portions quite a bit.
the biggest problem is they don't have unlimited ketchup and salt. Sonny don't like to be talked about.
All right, so we got a motion, we got a second, all in favor? All right, unanimous. All right, now we get back to the budget. Next year's budget, we're on 18-19 budget.
Okay.
Did you again?
Yet again.
The only thing that I might add is we've been in contact over the last month since Mr. Bryce and I went and had a face-to-face meeting with Ms. Neely at the appraisal district. We've been contacting her about every 2 weeks to see if our estimate of what our certified tax value is going to be. If there's going to be any major change, we want to know now instead of waiting until July 25th. I contacted her this morning, and we're still with the budget that we have now, based on the tax value that she's estimating it's going to be. Our budget is in good shape. I think we'll have more tax revenue than is in the budget right now, but based on last year, I'm not going to say.
We're not counting any chickens.
I wouldn't bet Dr. Pepper on this.
I understand. All right, so we're approving the proposed budget.
Yes.
Get a motion? Danny, get a second? Dr. Morchat, any discussion?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Again, if I understood you correctly, this budget that we're looking at already includes the 3% raise and the increase in TRS insurance premium.
Yes,
Okay.
normally the board would have voted on both of those items at an earlier meeting, but since the
Okay.
board elected to have one meeting.
So that
this
won't
month-
change these numbers?
No, no.
No, that's why we get, the reason we had the other ones and then had a public and then voted on it is just to cause all that to
I
happen.
wondered.
So then, but if we had.
There is an order to it,
we would've
usually
had to go
weeks
back and
apart,
change
but we just did it all on the same night.
So he was glad we voted that way.
Yeah. He had, hold on, be right back. Alright, so, I got a motion, I got a second, any more discussion?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So there was one other, I guess, a payback that we were gonna have to do because some monies were distributed to different districts that,
Talking about the
Shared
lawsuit,
services?
I'll get into that, but that's going to impact the 17,
The next thing, the next thing on the list.
okay.
Alright, we're still talking next year for now. So we're good with it, no more
Okay.
discussion about next year. All in favor? Okay, now this year,
Okay.
your turn again.
In your packet, you have the final amended budget for the general fund, the child nutrition fund, and the debt service fund. The general fund, final amended budget, final budget amendment for the total revenues, I believe it needs to be increased by $210,000 from what it is now. You can see up there how it's broken down between the local revenue, state revenue, and federal revenue. If you remember a few minutes ago, I talked about the SHARS revenue being much more than what we thought it was going to be. So that's why I'm increasing the budget to about $95,000 in federal revenue. If you go all the way over to page 3 of the general fund and look at the line item that says total expenditures, you can see that the total expenditure, the final budget amendment, is reducing the total expenditures by $254,450. That combined with the increase in the revenue of 210 means that the net revenue over expenditures is going to be a positive, be an increase of $464,450. Then below that are what we call other resources and other uses. And these are items that because of the way school finance is determined at the state level, how we have to report it when we have certain unusual or extraordinary items, they have to go down below. An example is we sold one of the ag trailers during the year for $4,500 that had not been budgeted to this point, so I'm adding that to the budget. The item that Paul was referring to, we've been given an amount by the appraisal district of what we're going to have to, through the county, we're going to have to refund to certain oil and gas related entities because of the change that's mandated by the lawsuit that started in Galveston County that you may have read about in the newspaper in the last week or two. We're going to have to refund $28,447. And since that is from tax levies from years past, I visited with our auditors about it. We all agreed that that ought to be an expense of this year. And I got their guidance on exactly what they wanted me to, where they felt it best to be put, and it's as an other use down here by itself. So when you put all those together, our current budget is showing a deficit of $660,304. The budget amendment will decrease that budget or make it better by $440,503, so that our final amended budget for the general fund will be a deficit of $219,801. That's the general fund. Any questions on the general fund? Yes, sir.
Just reiterating what my original kind of question, so the actual deficit in real dollars is 219,000, which will come out of fund balance as reflected on the bottom line.
And it may be better than that, but there, in each of the functions, there's some cushion left in the function for items that may occur this week or that we might have to record as liabilities or changes in revenue that may not actually come out exactly as this budget is. But this is the best estimate that I have at this point.
But our fiscal year ends next, or Saturday, Sunday, whatever it is, 30th. So unless it happens in the next 3 days, it's next year.
Well, and they're just they're liabilities that we have to record. Some of them that are recorded because the federal government tells us that we have to, but most of those are of an equal revenue and equal expenditure amount, so it doesn't.
In my mind, we're what, really $60,000, I mean, because we got increased 156, as it was, from last year, from what we got cut back, because we're 1 year behind. Essentially, I mean, it's not the way it works on paper, but in my mind, that's the way I'm looking at it. If we had got that $160,000 last year, like I said, against this 290.
If it applied, if the year would have applied the year it was supposed to, it would
Now,
have
granted, we're getting that check and we're not putting it on this bill, we're putting it in the next year.
Yeah. We're
Now
being,
I understand.
yeah,
Okay.
we're being reimbursed
The
most.
bad part about it is in years past, we always zeroed out.
Yeah, we're being reimbursed, but we're still a little bit in the hole. But not as bad as it could have been.
No.
No, we originally had way more.
Oh, it was way worse.
As a percentage, what is that?
All right, so,
And
No, get more.
on the child nutrition fund, the changes are not of a great magnitude, but we do, I didn't think there needs to be an increase in the estimated revenues of $30,800 because our local revenue and our federal revenue came in more than what we had budgeted. In the expenditures, our food costs were less than what we thought they were going to be. Sonny and her crew did a better job of feeding kids with spending less on food this year than we thought we were going to. So instead of having a $15,000, just a $16,000 deficit, we're projecting that we should come out about $38,000 to the good for 2017-18. For the debt service fund, the changes there, when we got the news during summer related to the tax revenue, I did not make any reduction in the tax revenue in the debt service fund at that time. So that $48,000 reduction has to do with the good news that we got during the summer about our tax base going down. The state revenue is going up because the money that we received for the existing debt allotment is just a little bit more than what was originally budgeted last June. The debt service payments came out exactly like we had budgeted them. So we are projecting to end up $139,845 surplus for this year after the final budget amendment.
yep,
That's it.
all right. Recommendation to approve as presented. A motion. Dr. Morchak, in a second. Paul, any discussion? All in favor? All right, the next item is closed session, starts at 7:46.
You know, when you said 7:46, I looked up at the clock, it's like, but it is 7:46, that needs to be reset.
How you been, Jane? I didn't get to see Clark's kid play.
Oh, he did a good job.
I wasn't there, I heard it was good.
That's one thing.
Maybe it's not street.
Spotlight.
Yeah.
So he was kind of, you know, see that
Oh.
he's still doing a good job, do whatever he is.
Good job. Take care. Thank y'all for coming.
There you go.
We got it.
Well, I don't know, Stacy. You might already do it. I don't know if I remember.
We're gonna dive in, let me tell you what, I was one of those kids, I had a rifle rack.